Noorsign Books presents Ramadan Miracles, Stories of Faith Found in the Ordinary. The Longest Shift, Part 2, The Same Room. London, Ramadan. Dr. Zakariya Osei is running on empty, fasting from food and prayer alike. But in the relentless rhythm of the hospital, a patient's crisis is about to force him to confront the very void he's trying to outrun. On the second day of Ramadan, Dr. Zakariya Osei ate nothing, prayed nothing, and told himself this was discipline. At 1:30 a.m., he left the hospital, one shift bleeding into the next. London's sky was a washed-out gray. The streets in Clapham shone with fine mist, orange under the streetlights. He let himself into the terraced house quietly. The hallway smelled of cumin, lemon, and something sweet, the ghost of the iftar he'd missed. He aimed for the stairs, but light glowed under the kitchen door. He paused. A page turned. A spoon clinked. The sound of someone breathing who had trained herself not to sigh too loudly. He pushed the door open. Amira sat at the small table, dressing gown over pajamas, a mug between her hands. Her hijab was loose, curls escaped at her temples. She looked up as if she'd been expecting him. "Hey," she said, tired smile simple and devastating. "Hey." He leaned on the doorframe a heartbeat too long, reluctant to cross into the life where he was husband, father, believer, not just doctor. "Did you eat?" she asked. The truthful answer was no, unless a bathroom protein bar, 3 coffees, and 1 date in a corridor counted. "I had something," he said. She tilted her head, measuring. Tonight, she let it go. "I made shorba," she said. "There's some left. You should eat before you sleep." "I'm not that hungry." His stomach growled loudly. She ignored the lie, stood, reheated soup, set a bowl and bread in front of him. Tomatoes, lamb, cinnamon, her mother's Sudanese recipe. It smelled like last Ramadan, when their lives had been, he realized now, obscenely intact. He sat automatically. The first spoonful tightened his throat. "Where's Saf?" he asked. A small smile. "She tried to stay up for you. Made it to 10 minutes after Maghrib. Fell asleep holding a spoon like she was going into battle." He snorted, surprised by the sound. "Sorry, I missed that." "You've missed a lot of things," she said, only slightly pointed. They ate in quiet. "Sophia asked if Baba is sick," Amira said at last. He stared into his bowl. "What did you tell her?" "What did you tell her?" "That Baba is helping lots of sick people and needs us to make dua for him. Is that okay?" A swarm of answers pressed against his teeth. "I'm drowning. I don't know what I am. If I stop, I'll feel everything." "It's exactly right," he said. The clock crept toward Fajr. "Do you want me to wake you?" she asked. He hesitated a fraction too long. "Yeah," he lied. "Wake me." On the way upstairs, he paused at Sophia's door for the first time in weeks. Nightlight glow, stuffed animals in a ragged row, a poster of an astronaut on the ceiling. She sprawled diagonally, fist clamped around a doll's leg, mouth slightly open. He watched her chest rise and fall. Lately, he'd been doing that more, counting breaths, as if sheer observation could keep catastrophe at bay. "Baba," she mumbled in her sleep. "I'm here," he whispered. He lay down in his scrubs. The sheets smelled of Amira's jasmine shampoo. He didn't remember sleep taking him. He did not wake for Fajr. By 8 a.m., the hollow in his chest from the missed Salah was just another thing to step around. "Back again," Mia said as he signed in. "You'll make us all look bad." "That's the plan," he said, forcing a grin. The day unspooled. ABC, bloods, scans, referrals, one tile at a time, never zoom out. Around midday, one of the registrars joked about the coming Ramadan rush, the collapses at Taraweeh. Zach checked the board. No collapsed worshippers yet, just the usual SOB, RTC, sepsis. At 2 in the afternoon, head throbbing in a low rhythm that meant his blood sugar was dipping, he cut down the back corridor toward the vending machines. The Salah room door was ajar again. Inside, an elderly Somali man stood in ruku'ah, back bowed, hands on knees. Then he straightened and went into sujud with slow, careful grace. No dramatic light, no soundtrack, just an old man in a cupboard-sized room in a London hospital, quietly placing his forehead on the floor before his Rabb. An ache opened in Zach's chest so wide he pressed his shoulder to the wall. Allahu Akbar, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. The words formed soundlessly in his mouth. The vending machine blinked further down the corridor. Crisps, chocolate, tiny bottles of juice. He walked to it like to a lifeboat and stared at the plastic-wrapped rows. He bought nothing. He went back to work. By late afternoon, the world's edges blurred. He knew he should eat at iftar, a water, something, but the idea of stopping felt more dangerous than the ache in his head. There was always another patient. Dr. Osei? He turned. Rohima stood at the edge of the station, chaplaincy bag at her hip, a faint cardamom scent following her. "We're a bit slammed," he said. "I know," she replied. "I've been here longer than you, remember." "Maghrib in 1 minute," she added. "I brought tum." He opened his mouth to protest. "Sit," she said gently, nodding to the vinyl bench by the vending machines. "If someone arrests, they will page you. You will get there just as fast if you sit 5 minutes as if you stand for 5. He found himself obeying. They sat side by side. She handed him 2 dates. "Bismillah." "Bismillah," he echoed, biting into one. Sweetness, fibers sticking to his teeth. He closed his eyes briefly. "First days are always the hardest," she said. "The body remembers. The mind takes longer." He grunted. "When did you last pray properly?" she asked. He stared. There's the on-call room." "In a room that smells of feet, between bleeps, is not what I mean," she said mildly. "I mean with intention, with some stillness." He could have lied. He was too tired. 3 months, he said. "Since the man died?" she replied. He stiffened. "How do you—" "I've been here 23 years, she said. "The walls talk. Sometimes they cry. I listen." He stared at the half-eaten date. Words he'd poured into trust statements in cold clinical language now came out halting and hot. "Before Christmas," he began. "34-year-old man, chest pain. I saw him, ordered tests. Corridor was full. I thought I'd come back, that someone would keep an eye." He swallowed. "They missed the change on the repeat ECG. He lay there 3 hours. When they found him, we did everything. 47 minutes. Nothing. His name was Marcus Webb." The name tasted like metal. "Inquest said systemic failure," he went on. "Understaffing, corridor care. The trust took the hit, said it wasn't my fault." He gave a breath that was almost a laugh. "It was my name on the board," he said. "My signature. I told him he'd done the right thing. I didn't keep him safe." Silence stretched. Only a distant monitor beeped. "You gave him everything you had in that moment," she said at last. "You saw him. You ordered the right things. The system gave him nothing. The system failed him. That is true." He opened his mouth, but she raised a hand. And you, she continued, have decided that you are the system. If you make yourself big enough, heavy enough, you can absorb all the blame and keep it in you, instead of letting some of it float out there where you can't see it. I was the consultant, he protested. I am. You are a man, she said gently, a good doctor, not an institution, not the NHS. He flinched at the acronym. You keep trying to be the system, she said, because if it's your fault, you can punish yourself. Blame feels like control. If it was just the system, how do you hit that? Who do you fast from? Who do you starve? Her words slid under his ribs like a scalpel. What do I do? He asked, voice frayed. For a start, she said, standing with a small groan, come to a salat tomorrow, the prayer room upstairs. Just a salat, 10 minutes. You do not have to fix the NHS in 10 minutes. You just have to put your head on the ground and admit you are not Allah. He almost laughed. It came out choked. She tucked a packet of dates into his coat pocket. For later. Around 2, you'll crash. Eat them. No extra penance. Then she walked away, blue hijab bobbing among the scrubs. He sat a heartbeat longer, the vending machine humming behind him, the word blame echoing in his skull. Then the crash pager went off. He was running before the second beep.
By the third morning of Ramadan, exhaustion clung to him like a second skin. He had meant to go to Fajr. At 4:20 a.m., the alarm pulled him out of a dream of corridors. For a few seconds he lay there, adhan buzzer blending with Amida's soft breathing. I'll go tomorrow, he'd thought. Now, under A&E's strip lights, that decision sat in his gut like a stone. Morning, boss. Priya, one of the registrars, appeared at his elbow, theater cap askew, dark circles under her eyes. Her coffee cup trembled faintly. How many of those? He asked. 3rd? 4th? She squinted. Happy Ramadan, by the way. You look worse than I do. Impressive. Flattery won't get you into cardiology, she smirked. They've put me on the chest pain bay again. One more rule out MI that's anxiety. I'm defecting to dermatology. He smiled, then noticed the tremor in her fingers, the 2 bright eyes. How long since you slept? She shrugged. Got off at 11, couldn't wind down, Netflix, Mom phoned to lecture me about iron levels, you know. Alarms at 5 for a run I didn't do. Classic. He heard his younger self in her, thinking running on fumes proved you cared. Priya, he said, sharper than intended. Go eat, a proper meal. I had a muffin at 3. Food, he said. Staff room, 20 minutes. I'll cover. You're fasting and you want me to... Not you, he cut in. Go. She hesitated, eyes flicking to the board. You tell me off when I skip breaks, he reminded her. This is payback. She huffed. Yes, sir. Then already scanning for toast. He watched her go, relief loosening her shoulders. The simple act of insisting she accept her limits lodged in him like a seed.
The crash pager beeped, sharp. Bay 4 called. 31-year-old female, chest pain, coming in now, ECG en route. Zach's heart stuttered. Bay 4. The corridor to it felt unchanged. Scuffed lino, crooked sanitizer dispenser, off-white walls. It was also the corridor where Marcus had lain on a trolley for 3 hours. He had avoided walking its length since December, looping the long way round like a man sidestepping a grave. Now he had no choice. He arrived as paramedics swung the trolley into Bay 4. On it lay a pale woman clutching her chest, short brown hair, freckles, early 30s, fear naked in her eyes. This is Diane, 31, the paramedic rattled off. Central chest pain, radiating to left arm, 3 hours, intermittent for 4 days. No known cardiac history, non-smoker, family history in dad. GTN en route, little effect. ECG was concerning. He handed Zach the printout. The page felt too heavy. ST elevation, textbook. Zach stared a heartbeat too long. "Doc?" Mia's voice cut through. He inhaled. "Okay." His voice slipped into its familiar palm. "Diane, I'm Zach, one of the senior doctors. You did the right thing coming in. We're going to look after you, all right?" "I'm sorry," she gasped. "Should have come earlier, but my neighbor made all this Ramadan food, and I didn't want to. I don't know why I'm telling you about falafel. I think I'm freaking out." "It's okay." He wrapped the blood pressure cuff around her arm, clipped on the SATS probe. "We'll talk food later. Right now, I need to know about the pain. Crushing? Stabbing? Any shortness of breath?" Protocol flowed through his hands. ECG to the wall monitor, oxygen, bloods, cardiology page, STEMI alert. He made absolutely sure she was in a bay, not the corridor. Monitor on, nurse assigned. His hands, he realized, were shaking. Not just a faint tremor, a proper wobble. His vision fuzzed at the edges. He hadn't eaten since sahur, some bread, some shorba, countless hours ago. 2 nights of broken sleep stacked on top, caffeine instead of fuel. "Doc?" Mia murmured at his shoulder. "You okay?" "I'm fine." Automatic lie. "Cath lab ETA?" 15, maybe 20. He nodded, focusing on Diane. "Pain now?" 7. Sweat beaded on her lip. "Feels like someone's sitting on my chest. My cat's going to be so annoyed if I die." "Your cat?" he repeated. "Biscuit," she said. "She hates everyone but me and my neighbor. I can't die. No one else can give her tablets." "You're not going to die," he said, and heard the echo of what he told Marcus. "We've caught this. Team upstairs is very good. We're on it."
When the porter arrived to transfer her to cath lab, Zach stepped out into the corridor. Out of Diane's sight, his hand hit the wall. This was it. The moment he'd been running toward and away from for 3 months. Same kind of patient, same vague symptoms brushed aside too long, same hospital, same decisions. His heart hammered. His blood sugar had fallen below the point where adrenaline could cover it. The corridor tilted a little. If he passed out, if his judgment lagged, if his hands jerked, he might fail her. Again. He closed his eyes. Images stacked. Marcus's face. His mother's hands on a prayer mat. Sophia's breaths in the dark. Amira's soft, "Is that okay?" And Rohima's voice. "You are fasting from everything, but you are not trusting anything. You are just holding your breath." He realized with brutal clarity he could not be the doctor she needed while treating his own body as disposable. He was not the system. He was one man, designed with limits. A human. From somewhere deep, another voice rose, one he'd pushed away for months. Allah does not burden a soul beyond that it can bear. His hand fumbled into his pocket. His fingers closed around the packet of dates. In the other pocket, the tube of glucose tablets he kept for hypoglycemic patients. His hands still shook. He did the only thing he could. He ripped the date packet, shoved one into his mouth, chewed twice, swallowed. The rush of sugar hit fast. He followed it with a glucose tablet, chalky and sharp. He waited. 10 seconds, 20, until the floor steadied and his fingers stopped trembling. Then he nodded to the porter and walked beside Diane's trolley toward the lifts. He had broken his fast. And for the first time in 3 months, he'd broken something else with it. The belief that he had to destroy himself to make up for one death.
You've been listening to Ramadan Miracles, a Noorsign Books original. Sometimes the longest journey isn't across a city, but across the quiet space between what we do and who we are. Zakariya's story continues. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next miracle. Visit noorsignbooks.com to join our community and get the full collection. Jazakallah, Karen.